Tonight, ESPN brings you college gymnastics from Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, North Carolina, as the NC State Wolfpack meet the North Carolina Tar Heels. Hello, everybody. We welcome you to Reynolds Coliseum alongside Rachel Garland. I'm Andrew Sanders. So happy to have you with us. And Rachel, these two teams are separated by just 20 miles. They are rivals. They are old foes. They are familiar foes, meeting for already the second time this year, and it's just the second of many.
Yes, 2 out of 5 if you count Eagle Conference Championship. So they have 4 regular season meets against each other this year, and then they will compete again in the Eagle Conference. So last time out, neutral ground at Kentucky. UNC barely edged out the Wolfpack by 0.2 of a point. It's a couple steps on a landing. It's a small wobble on balance beam. So it's going to be a great meet. These two always fight back and forth. Just between all-around competitions.
Yeah, historically, these two teams not separated by much. Take a look at some of the impact gymnasts for both of these squads. And Kasia Hislop, a 9.9 last weekend on floor. That is an event where Carolina excels.
Carolina does excel. They are in the top 20 on floor, so we've got some great gymnasts ready to perform. They've gone over 49 so far twice this season. And again, Kasia being one of their rock stars. You see her season highs from last week, which earned her her 3rd time Specialist of the Week, but those are not her career highs. It's a 9.9 plus on every event.
Very impressive for Hislop. And meanwhile, for NC State, the local product, Drew Grantham. You see what she did last week against Towson. Big performance.
Yes, like you said, local, so she's always got a big fan base here. She's been a huge impact player for the Wolfpack all 4 years. And again, great meet last week. She finally was able to come out and hit 4 for 4 events. Stuck her landings, ended up with a 39.25, which is a really great start this early in the season.
Last week against Towson, 195.5. A lot to think about this early part of the season.
Yeah, Kim has a lot of shoes to fill. They graduated a ton of seniors last year, I believe 9 out of their 24 routines. And so they've had a really great time just bringing in some of the freshmen and making sure that they can compete.
And on the sidelines for North Carolina, well, who else? Derek Galvin, as he has been now for 38, now 39 years.
Derek is the only head coach that these Tar Heels have known, and religiously, 39 years, he consistently puts up great gymnasts, he puts up great scores, and that's why they keep him around. So he's just a fantastic leader, and he does a lot of excellent work with the gymnasts.
Well, if you're wondering how does this dual meet work, this is how it goes. 6 gymnasts per team per event. We might see exhibitionists, but those scores will not be counted. You can drop your lowest score, and then after all 4 events, the team with the highest cumulative score wins. We're hoping to see something in the 195 plus range today. Both teams would be happy with that. And then the order, of course, vault, bars, beam, and floor for NC State, and that will be reversed for North Carolina. So the Wolfpack starting out on vault and Carolina on bars. Drew Grantham set to go for the Wolfpack on vault. And a little comfortable being at home starting off on vault, although this is statistically actually NC State's worst event. They're 42nd in the country on vault. So an area, you could say, where the Wolfpack looking to improve here.
Yeah, definitely an area for improvement. So their leadoff vaulter, Katie Cox, she ended up doing a Yurchenko tuck full. So not a 10-0 start value. I know that's one thing that these Wolfpack gymnasts are going to work on over the next few years is we're going to see a lot of layout Yurchenko fulls. Really need to nail those landings because that vault has been devalued. It's no longer worth a 10, only a 9.95. So there you see Grantham, just that small hop on the landing. Outside of that, she had a straight body, great height, great distance, but they will ding her for that hop, and she hopped forward, which means she didn't quite have enough rotation.
Grantham's high this year on vault, 9.725, trying to get up in that 9.8 range where she is on every other event.
Definitely doable for Grantham. Throughout her career, she's notoriously put up 9.8s and higher. So again, I think it's still early in season. We're in week 4 now. They've still got 12 more meets to go. So there's a lot of room for improvement.
This is Makayla Williams of North Carolina, a senior from Warner Robins, Georgia. And just like NC State, Carolina starting off on its worst event. The Tar Heels are ranked 53rd in the country on bars. So I guess on the one hand, you're getting it out of the way early, and
Definitely.
if you can get a nice start on this, you're going to feel great about the rest of your events here. But maybe a little scary going into that first
Definitely
one.
a little scary, and this is Makayla's. She is a bar specialist, so this is all she does. This is her one competition for the night. So for her, she gets it out of the way, and then she can sit back and relax. But again, it's a tough event for them. They just haven't been able to put it all together at one time, whether it's just small execution errors or having to count a fall on the event. Unfortunately, the Tar Heels just haven't been able to hit 6 for 6 or even 5 for 6 in that case to really get some of these big scores that I know they're capable of. And I do believe their leadoff individual, Emery Summy, actually fell. She ended up with a 9.075. So not the way they wanted to start, but again, they still have 5 gymnasts to go. You put it all together and they can still end up with a good score.
But the pressure now increased for Williams and the rest of the Tar Heels. Williams' high score this year, 9.75. As you said, she is a bar specialist.
You can see her struggling through some of those handstands just a little bit. I think being a little overcautious, again, trying to come back from that fall. But a good double layout, couple steps on the landing. Again, they'll take it.
So a solid routine for Makayla Williams. And NC State's third vaulter is Lauren Kent, the other all-arounder. So we saw Drew Grantham and now Lauren Kent.
Kent, one of the juniors, so the nice thing is definitely unfortunate on that. It looked like one of her hands actually missed the vault.
And so we saw a fall for Carolina on bars, now a fall for NC State on vault. And even if you put together solid routines, that's still going to affect that team score down the line because you'd like to drop a much higher score, obviously.
It really does. It's definitely unfortunate for Kent. It actually looks like she may have hurt her ankle on that. What I was going to say before is Coach Landers actually ecstatic about Lauren because she has one more season. So she does have that returning senior next year in Kent, but this is definitely unfortunate. It just seems like whenever there's a fall, the momentum drops completely, and you really have to work extra hard to build that back up. Just not something that any team really looks for.
Sophie Silverstein due up next for the Tar Heels. Silverstein looking to put together really a solid event here. 9.35, her high score of the season. Just waiting for the final score on Williams before Silverstein gets the nod to go here.
It's never as good when the judges take longer in terms of coming up with the score because it means they're actually calculating more. They're having to add up bonus and difficulty, and then they're actually having to subtract the execution off of that. So the longer they take, the lower the score.
The worse the news, unfortunately.
It's definitely unfortunate.
Oh, and Silverstein with a fall as well.
So again, so that's 2 falls already for
Right.
Carolina. They've got that 9.075. So depending what Silverstein ends up with, you're going to end up counting a score in the low 9s at the greatest. So keeps Carolina, unfortunately, right in that kind of 50th ranking spot. They just haven't been able to put it together, but they do have great routines. Hopefully they'll be able to nail some of them in the upcoming weeks.
And that is always the hope, and the opportunity is as you build throughout the season. Maybe you don't want to quite be clicking on all cylinders just yet. Obviously, you don't want to be having as many falls.
You don't want to peak too soon and
right.
then be worn out for postseason. but you still want to be able to use, this could be a great away score for them for that regional qualifying score.
Emily Shepard nails her vault following the fall from Kent.
And that was a great way to get that Wolfpack back on track. That was a huge vault. So Shepard, one of the freshmen, she has been an impact player already. Again, this is only week 4. They've got big expectations out of her. That small little, I don't know if it was the mat that moved or if her feet actually moved. So with the judges seeing that in real time, only they can tell if they give her the stick or not. Small pike down on the landing, but other than that, that was a fantastic vault.
The vault's so interesting to me, Rachel, because the other 3 events that we'll see, you have to maintain focus for a larger period of time. During bars or beam or something where you say, okay, this is, if I can get past this part, right, mentally, you're thinking, let me just get back, and you get past that, and then you can kind of, I'm wondering, what is the mentality like? Because vault is more adrenaline-based. It's one explosive move. Mentally, when you're standing there and you get this signal to go, what's going through your mind?
It's, you try to remember all the corrections that your coaches have given you all ahead of time. And on vault, really, it's muscle memory. It's air awareness. You just have to go out there and do exactly what you know you can do, because there's no real correcting something in the middle of the air. It's over in 4 to 6 seconds, depending on how fast you run. And a lot of times after they salute, it's 1, 2, 3, go, and then you're done.
So that last instance, you're thinking, all right, legs together, point the toes, everything you've been told.
Yep, stick the landing.
And North Carolina's struggles on bars continue with Drew Aldridge. Took a hard fall.
That did not look good. It looked like her hand almost slipped off the bar. I just missed the high bar on that release move. It's called a Shaposhnikova, and she's supposed to re-grip the back of the high bar, and it looked like her fingertips, she just didn't have enough lift, didn't have enough backward momentum on that, and to come down the way she did, definitely unfortunate. So we're going to let the trainers attend to her, but hopefully she'll be able to get back up off of that.
Yeah, reaching for that high bar, falling straight down onto the back, potentially the back of the head. And she gets a hand from this crowd, and a good sign. Aldridge is back on her feet.
And she typically competes in a couple of events. So bars and vault have been her 2, which are going to be the Tar Heels' first 2 events. They may end up changing that lineup around. She was 3rd in the lineup for vault, so we'll see if they have an alternate that they're going to put in that spot, or if she thinks she's going to be well enough to go.
And this is now a developing storyline that you hate to see. We saw it with Lauren Kent potentially maybe injuring herself a bit on vault. Same thing on bars, and an adjustment that both coaches may need to make. Alexis Buechler nails that landing.
That was, again, I hate saying it, but coming back from these falls is the hardest thing. And so Lex here does a great job. You see just a little bit of angle in her hip, a small shuffle of her feet, but that's going to be a huge score for the Wolfpack. Again, they've got to get back into it. And then again, after Aldridge, I mean, the arena was silent after that fall. So it is so hard to be that next person up. And Lex showed just the tenure that she's got. She is one of the seniors. She's seen a lot of things in her career. So I would say probably better her to be up next than one of the freshmen.
Grace Donahue is due up next for the Heels. And she, like Buechler, a veteran. She is a senior. And so Donahue will look to get the Heels back on track, because they're already going to have to count 2 falls.
2 falls.
We know for sure. And they still have Donahue, the all-arounder Elizabeth Colton, to go. And so with each and every fall, the pressure increases more and more, because that's huge team score points that are slipping away.
It is. And the nice thing, like you said, about Grace, she is a senior. She's a veteran. She knows what she's doing. All she has to do is come in and do exactly what she does in practice, which is what it looks like she's doing. She doesn't need to go hard. She doesn't need to be cautious. She needs to do
team.
That was a great comeback. Again, Aldridge's fault. That's got to be a tough one to be the next competitor up.
Yeah.
Almost nice in a sense that both teams had seniors in that next spot.
Chloe Negretti for NC State.
One of the freshmen, huge vault here. And just, you see that landing, she just couldn't hold on. She, like you talked about the adrenaline on vault.
That's some momentum for sure.
she just had too much. She had to take, it was definitely a 2/10 landing on that. You'll see it here. So great replay, huge amplitude. Just could not hold on to that landing. And they may actually take 2 deductions on that because she still, after the first hop, was not in control before she saluted the judges.
If you're a coach, though, if you have that amplitude, is that a good thing?
That's a great thing. So
We say we can work with that.
Yeah, they can work with that. The catch is can they add an extra half twist to that or another full twist so that they can get that start value back up to a 10.0. So to me, you could have easily added a half twist or even another full twist to that. Like you mentioned, Elizabeth Colton, the all-arounder for this Tar Heel team.
From Jordan High School in Durham. As the same high school as NC State's Drew Grantham. Although Colton is a freshman, Grantham a senior. And a pretty big step there for Colton, but again, just getting the routine through the routine when you have 3 falls.
That was a great routine. Her legs were glued together, toes were pointed the entire time. Just a little bit short on that landing, ended up having to step forward. So that is something that the judges look for. And again, one thing that I think viewers at home don't realize is it's not just a step on the landing, because there's other things that lead up to that. So she may not have had enough height and she may not have had enough rotation. Those are other things that the judges can take deductions on.
That's a good point.
So it depends on which way you take your step.
That's why I like when you put your judge hat on, so you can break it down for us. Here's a look at the Wolfpack vaults, and 9-7s across. They'll drop the lowest score, so pick which one you want. It's a 9-7 getting dropped either way, and if 9-7 is the score you're dropping, you feel pretty good with that.
That's a great way to start off for the Wolfpack team. Again, it's not going to be that 49 that they're hoping for, where they're averaging a 9-8 per individual.
Pardon me, I forgot. As I was scrolling through with my eyes, I forgot the Kent fall, and I thought the 8-8 was a 9-8. My apologies. So they're going to drop that score.
Drop the 8-8.
Keep a couple 9-7s.
Which is fine.
I take back everything I said.
But again, it's a great score for the Wolfpack, given that Lauren Kent did fall, and you're normally counting on her as one of the big scorers. So they do have again, great score so far. It's not their highest, but
close to a 49. And again, on your worst event,
yes,
you'll take it. And another fall for North Carolina. Now this, again, won't count. This is the exhibitionist, Leah Necco, sophomore from the state of New Jersey. And especially when it's an event you've struggled on, why not have an exhibitionist and give someone else a chance? Unfortunately, Necco suffers the same fate as half of the Carolina lineup.
But I still think it's good. It's just good practice. So she's out on the competition floor. You never know when they're going to have to throw her into the actual lineup. Honestly, I'd exhibition a couple of girls in this case. So if you have the depth, you may as well put them up there.
Here's a look at the North Carolina scores. So Aldridge not able to post a score, didn't finish the routine. We hope that she is all right. Carolina having to count a couple of scores much lower than they would like. Colton with the 9.825 though to finish things up and anchor it, a positive sign for the Heels.
Yeah, the last 2 scores were fantastic. That's really where the Tar Heels want to be throughout the rest of their lineup. Like you mentioned, they've got to count that 8.6 and a 9.075, I think it was. So it is definitely not where the Tar Heels want to be. But I don't think it's something that that's shocking, just given that this has been the event that they have struggled on so far this season. And it's just really something that they're going to have to figure out how to get over some of those hurdles.
We'll be back with the second rotation after this. An event in which the Wolfpack has struggled at this early point of the season. North Carolina with 3 falls under a 47, so a rough start for the Heels. And again, the bars have been their Achilles heel. Pardon, I'm sorry. No pun intended, but it was right there.
It was. No, it's definitely been the event that they've struggled on. Again, they're ranked 53rd in the country. Last week they had 2 gymnasts with a fall. They ended up having to count one of them. Unfortunately today, with Aldridge's not able to even put up a score, they do have to count 2 of those falls, which leads them to that score just below a 47.
And so we will see how the Heels can rebound here. Moving on to vault, where they're just outside of the top 25. Meanwhile, NC State over to bars. And the Wolfpack, well, they've been pretty good on bars. It's actually been their best event, 30th in the country on bars.
Yeah, again, Wolfpack, they just need to hit. They don't try to overperform. They don't need to try to increase this lead at this point. Right now, the Tar Heels have a lot of ground to make up. As long as the Wolfpack can just hang on, they should be perfectly fine.
Elizabeth Colton leads off for North Carolina.
A great Yurchenko full. Probably looking for a little bit more height and dynamics, but overall a great start to the vault rotation. And again, they've been typically pretty good on this event.
And to be able to step in and be an all-arounder as a freshman, very impressive. Emily Shepard for NC State. Speaking of impact freshmen, we saw what she did on vault.
Like you said, both teams leading off with freshmen. That's always a tough spot to be in. I think
Sure.
bars a little bit tougher than vault, just because the routine does take a little bit more thinking throughout. Vault, you run and go and be done. And obviously Shepard ecstatic about that routine, as well as her coaches and her teammates. That was a great way for the Wolfpack to start their bar rotation.
See how high she gets on the release for her dismount. And she stuck it.
She really did. We'll take a look at it right here. She is well above the bar. And just that very
little step. Couldn't see it from where we were, but
our angle was not the best originally, but she did end up sliding that a half a tenth. That's all they're going to take on that one. Alexis Allen for the Tar Heels. So slightly different vault in that she only does a half turn. Still worth a 9.95. That's actually the vault that I did because I couldn't do the full turn. But it is a blind landing, which makes that stick a little bit more difficult. And again, you see just that little shuffle of a foot at the very end.
couple of vaults in for North Carolina. Drew Grantham of NC State, like she did on vault, will go second for the Wolfpack.
Career high bar score of a 9.825. That's actually her only career high below a 9.9. And just
lost her momentum there.
Yeah, she almost, definitely not the Drew that we've known to come and see. Unfortunate for her. But yeah, on that release move, it looked like she just didn't rotate it enough. When she caught the high bar, she was in a dead hang, and you can't really do much from there. And then to pull yourself back and be able to dismount, I think just a couple of little mental errors on her part, but she'll get back in there.
Surprising to see from the Eagle Gymnast of the Week.
We're going to jump ahead. This is Michaela Robinson for the Tar Heels. That's what I would call a stuck landing. So Drew Aldridge originally in the lineup in that third spot. Michaela jumped up into that third place. So again, they could put somebody at the end of the rotation, but if they get 5 hits, they may just scratch that sixth person and take their 5.
Well, so far it's been 3 hits for the Tar Heels, and as we talked about quite a bit in the first rotation. Now bouncing back from a fall, that task falls onto the shoulders of Meredith Robinson of NC State.
And if you're going to put it on anyone's shoulders, why not the bar specialist? So Meredith, career high or season high so far, 9.875 on this event, but this is the only event that she does.
Got to be tough enough to be a specialist because you're focused on just that one event, and your night is made or broken on, you know, the 30-second routine that you do.
It is definitely. And she warmed up 2 hours ago. So they warm up in the same event or same order of events that they compete in. So if warm up started, we'll say 5:15 or so on the uneven bars, and it's 7:30, she got a small chunk of a 4-minute touch period that we don't actually air prior to the competition. So the 6 competitors get a 4-minute touch, and she gets one small section of that to say, hey, I'm ready to go again. And again, the longer the judges take, it's never a good sign. But again, with Grantham's kind of stop in the middle of her bar routine and then the fall on the landing, I do believe she put her knee down on that, which does count. I was
going to ask you if that was part of the deliberation there, because it was a big step, and then I do think the knee touched as well.
So yeah, it depends on how the judges saw it or what they gave her credit for.
And the judges conferring at the table. Of course, there's 2 separate tables, but they have made the trek over.
They have.
Not going to do this through text.
No, they are not allowed to do it through text.
This is a conversation.
They cannot use the cheerleaders' megaphones, which would be quite interesting to have a conversation that way. But they do have to come together if they are too far apart within their scores. Yeah. There's a small range of scores that they have to be within. And if that's not the case, then they do have to conference and say, hey, what did you give her for this? What did you give her for this? Let's see what we can agree on, and then come up with our score from there.
So for Meredith Robinson, and the score comes out 8.425 for Grantham. That is a score that NC State obviously is hoping to drop.
Yes.
But now Robinson, who has been, as you said, maybe hasn't warmed up in a couple hours, just a little more patience for her. Now she can begin.
I would almost equate a judges conference kind of like icing the kicker.
Absolutely.
That is, I mean, if you have to run another sports analogy to it, it is the other team calling the timeout right before you're supposed to kick a field goal.
At least sometimes when you ice the kicker, though, they don't get the timeout off in time, and the kicker actually gets to kick it and see it go through. It wasn't like Robinson could just go through a routine while the judges were waiting.
I don't think she would want to either. So fantastic routine, a great comeback for the Wolfpack, just that small step on the landing. Other than that, a pretty flawless routine from Robinson. And again, season high 9.875. I don't know if it'll be quite there, but that was a pretty dang good routine.
Kaja Hislop for North Carolina.
Had to sit out the first rotation, and now we will see her the rest of the night.
We highlighted her, the Eagles Specialist of the Week.
And if you're going to do a vault that doesn't start from a 10.0, I want to see that. I don't know what they're going to do.
That was done well.
That was done extremely well. If anything, they may take a small, I don't even know what kind of execution they would do on that landing, where just her toes didn't actually move. Just her heels came up a little bit. So if she doesn't get a 9.95, which in this case is a perfect score, I don't know what the judges saw, because I didn't see anything on that.
Well, that is high praise from you, because normally I can talk to you and you'll say, well, there's a half-tenth here. You can always find something. You couldn't find anything wrong with that.
I did not see anything wrong with that. They obviously came up with something at a 9.9. The only thing, again, was where she bounced up on her toes. I guess maybe not a perfect stick, but her toes didn't actually move on that one. I would have gone 9.95.
Well, a 9.9 on vault for Kaja Hislop.
This is Katie Cox on the uneven bars for the Wolfpack. Sorry, Tar Heels on vault.
No hop there.
No hop there. That is a stuck landing. So her feet hit the mat and she nailed it. And after she salutes, she can jump around and do whatever she wants to in excitement.
A lot of excitement from Caitlin Cox here.
That's an extremely hard dismount. And the fact that she can stick that is just mind-blowing at times.
Jamie Antonori, 5th gymnast to go for Carolina.
Just to lay out Yurchenko on that. So again, we've talked about some of these vaults not starting at a 10.0. I lay out Yurchenko with no twist, and it starts at a 9.75. So the maximum that she can get is that 9.75, and she's got that big hop on the landing. So I'm going to say that'll come in somewhere in the 9.5, 9.6 range. It was a very clean layout, Yurchenko. It's just not valued very high.
And so we'll see if North Carolina will send out another gymnast on vault or not. Again, Drew Aldridge, they at least skipped her spot.
Yes.
As of now. Meanwhile, for NC State, still Lauren Kent, Melissa Brooker to go. And a good sign that Kent, who fell on vault, it wasn't limping terribly, but looked like she was a little shaken up from that fall.
Something with the ankle, just maybe a little bit of a tweak or something along those lines. So bars she may be able to handle just because there's only one landing. But we'll see if they keep her in the lineup for the rest of the meet on beam and floor, where it's going to be a little bit more impact.
We see that same skill there, the release, grab the high bar that that Aldridge fell on.
It's not an easy release move.
Nothing wrong with that ankle, huh?
Her ankle doesn't seem to be bothering her. Maybe it was just, again, like a little pinch or something, and she's perfectly fine. I'm sure that's what the rest of the Wolfpack team would like.
Big routine from Lauren Kent of NC State, as the Wolfpack have had 3 hits after the Grantham fall. And this is Silverstein of North Carolina, Sophie Silverstein.
Sophie, again, just another layout Yurchenko, but it's great practice. She's not typically in the lineup. Put her out there, give her that experience. Is it going to be the greatest score? No, but it does give them something to work with.
Good practice in front of a big crowd. That's what we have tonight here in Reynolds Coliseum. Gymnastics always drawing very well.
And you hear that in the background. That's a 9.9 out of Lauren Kent.
Wow.
Which is a new season high for her.
So a 9.9 out of Hislop on vault, and a 9.9 for Kent on bars. Melissa Brooker, the senior of NC State, to anchor now.
That actually ties her career high. That was the skill right there, that release up to the high bar that just took away Grantham's momentum.
She was able to save it, got way past vertical.
Yes, definitely a little bit more execution in that routine as far as her body positions. They want you to stay as perfectly straight as possible, so anytime you see that extra arch in the back, they're going to be taking some deductions.
But
just that step forward on the landing.
When your second gymnast falls, we always talk about the pressure, and 4 hit routines for NC State.
They'll take it. They had some fantastic scores as far as a team overall. Again, unfortunate that Grantham fell because she's normally one of the top scorers on every event that she competes in, but they still hit 5 of their other routines, so they'll end up with a great score overall. And
Carolina bouncing back after just a nightmare of a bars performance, able to get right back to it on vault, an event that they are comfortable with. And even without Aldridge, able to put it together and draw closer to NC State. We'll get a look at the Wolfpack scores on the other side of this break. 2 rotations in the books here between NC State and North Carolina. Where my mind was, we're showing bar scores. There are the scores for the Wolfpack. They got to drop Drew Grantham's 8.4, a rare fall for her. Other than that, those are some pretty solid scores. The 9-9 from Kent, Cox, Robinson, both with 8.5s.
Yeah, that's a huge bar score for this Wolfpack team. Definitely something, again, they want to come out and they want to hit 6 for 6. If you have to drop one, at least you've got a slew of other 9.8s and 9.9s to count, and then a small 9.6 in there. It's not a terrible score, but again, Grantham normally throws up another 9.8 or so. So would have easily been over that 49 mark. It could have been probably one of their highest ever in that case.
And NC State right now more than 2 points up on North Carolina, but we're only halfway through. Still a lot of gymnastics to go.
And Carolina's coming into their best event.
Absolutely.
20th in the nation on floor. Already put up 49s 2 times out of 4 meets this season. So I'm expecting big things out of this Tar Heel group.
And NC State on beam. They have been solid in that area to this point. Again, coming off 195.6 for the Wolfpack. And so they didn't have, not that they had to count any falls, they just didn't have any falls against Towson, period.
Right.
You're talking about they want to hit 6 routines. They did that 4 times in a row in each rotation. So now we see NC State on beam. And this is Alexis Buechler, who had the big vault earlier. Does not compete on bars. But you see her here, and you will also see her on floor as a 3-rotation athlete.
Definitely one of the more consistent gymnasts for the Wolfpack team. Overall, she doesn't get the highest score. She's consistently in that 9.7, 9.8 range, but sometimes you just need consistency. You need dependability. Again, both teams going into very strong rotations. Beam and floor are, well, floor is always the crowd favorite. Just
Sure.
it is what it is. Beam a little bit more nerve-wracking, but I think both schools are pretty equivalent on that event. So all they need to do is go out and they need to do what they do in practice, do what they do in their pressure situations, and stay on. It's really what it comes down to. Stay on the beam.
Easier said than done.
Much easier said than done. That's why I did not compete it.
Buechler does a very nice job getting off the beam.
That beautiful way to get off the beam. She stayed on until she needed to get off.
Yes.
So nice back handspring into a gainer full off the side. Fairly common collegiate gymnast. I will say now that they've changed some of the rules around, we see less of the gainer fulls off the side, a little bit more variety just in some of the way gymnasts choose to dismount, which is nice.
Jamie Antonori just competed on vault a moment ago. She leads off on floor. And as you noted, North Carolina in the top 20 in this event. This is their specialty.
Antonori a 9.75 for a high this season. She's one of their seniors, so again, vault and floor lineups, they will have to find someone, unfortunately, to replace her next year. I know a lot of gymnasts have had to change their routines around this year, so we talked about it last week, that the scores don't actually start from a 10, they start from a 9.4 this year. That's
right.
different. Throughout eternity, they've started at a 9.5.
Antonori just a little over-rotated there.
Yeah, a little bit, just couldn't quite hold on. It looked like she didn't have enough height. And so when she landed, she was a little bit crunched and just the legs just kind of gave out on her there. But again, they start from this 9.4 now, and so she actually got an extra 10th for doing that double salto at the end of her routine. Unfortunately, with the fall, she gave that 10th right back. But that is one of the changes that they've made for this year, is that lower start value, and
yes.
they've added in some different ways that some of the gymnasts can get their bonus back up to a 10.0.
It's so frustrating to fall, but especially on that final pass, just that last hurdle.
It is the absolute worst.
For NC State, Kaylin Foland.
Foland, a beam specialist for this Wolfpack team. Foland, one of the sophomores from right here in Wake County. Just a small wobble there, just couldn't quite hold on.
Got a couple gasps from the crowd.
Yes. Again, just stay on the beam. So a fall off the beam is worth 5/10 in deduction. That wobble, that large execution error, 3/10. But they'll take 3 over 5 any day.
Any day.
We'll take another look at her acro series, which she does get bonus for this. She does that front toss into 2 back handsprings. Gets a couple tenths in bonus there, and then a nice stuck landing. So outside of that wobble, that was a pretty clean routine.
Lily Dean of North Carolina, the junior from North Andover, Massachusetts.
We just had a beam specialist for the Wolfpack. Now we've got a floor specialist for the Tar Heels. Season high of a 9.75. And again, so the Tar Heels now looking to hit the next 5 routines.
Able to stay in bounds there.
Just a little bit uncontrolled. And we've talked about how bouncy this floor is in the past. I noticed when some of the Tar Heel girls were warming up, that they were kind of figuring out, okay, I'm gonna have to control this a little bit more, and you could see on that first tumbling run, just a little bit how bouncy this floor is. I know the gymnasts make it look easy, but there's a lot of springs underneath the floor. A lot of springs. So far, a pretty clean routine. I'd say maybe not as dynamic as some of the other ones that we'll see, especially from Kaja, who's coming up at the end of the lineup. But a nice double back in her last pass, so again, that extra 10th bonus that she's gonna get just for being able to do that skill at the end.
The floor specialist, or would you say the floor queen, given that music selection?
That, I'm not sure on that one. So great controlled landing there at the end on that final tumbling run. Lauren Kent in the lineup. So again, all these skills that they're doing in combination just add bonus tenths to their start value, so they go from that 9.5 to a 10.0.
Her high this season, 9.8. Obviously, as an all-arounder, you want to be a team player, but at the same time, you have a fall early on, you know, well, There kind of goes my all-around score for the night.
It does.
But you still have to refocus and.
You still have to refocus. Again, collegiate sports, it is mainly about the team. But the nice thing is with gymnastics, at least, if the team doesn't make it to regionals or to nationals in some of the postseason, you can still make it as a specialist or as an all-around finalist. So you're always still wanting to do the absolute best that you can, because you may get an invitation to some of the postseason meets that your team might not make it to. Another gainer full off the side. So the same dismount that Buechler did in the leadoff spot, just without the combination into it, and a nice stuck landing there.
And Coach Landris loved this landing from Kent. We saw her very confident on bars. She got that 9-9. And another solid routine.
Great score for Kent. Just unfortunate on vault.
So NC State halfway through beam. And now this is Hannah Nam, North Carolina.
So she is a floor and beam specialist, so we will see her again in the beam lineup. Season high of a 9.8 on this event. Nam, just one of their freshmen from Westchester, Ohio, but she almost performs like she's done this a few times. So she looks more like a veteran out there than she does a freshman. So they say season high of a 9.8, but as a freshman, it's also a career high.
Sure. Able to control herself well with that little extra bounce on the floor.
Great combination in her last pass. So she doesn't get the 10th for doing a double salto, but she did do two front layout front fulls in combination, which does give her bonus 10s in its own regard for doing that combination.
Casey Nelson of NC State now.
Seems like they've got a lot of similarities between the two teams. So
right.
Nam, a floor and beam specialist. Nelson, also a floor and beam specialist.
These teams pretty close together in the rankings. NC State 34th entering tonight, North Carolina 39th. It's one of the interesting things I feel about college gymnastics is that you can never have anyone complaining about, oh, well, this team is ranked higher than this team, and look at their quality wins, and they beat so-and-so, and they're obviously so much clearly better. It is what the scores have been.
The scores dictate everything in gymnastics. It's all about the scores.
You are who your score says you are.
Yes, most definitely. You could have a completely losing season against some of the top 10, top 15 schools in the country, and you could literally lose every meet and you could still be ranked in the top 15 or 20.
Sure.
So it's a very interesting way to decipher everything, but a fantastic routine out of Nelson for that. Like you mentioned, these teams just constantly back and forth. So you mentioned the overall rankings, both of them kind of in those 30s. In the conference, in the Eagle Conference, NC State ranked first currently, North Carolina ranked third. So still right back to back.
And that wasn't the case even a week ago, but NC State put up a 195.6 score, and that changes some things.
It definitely changed it. I think they were ranked third or fourth
right
last week. This is the all-arounder Elizabeth Colton for the Tar Heels.
She's having a good night so far. Looking to continue that here. Again, this is the third rotation.
So far, a season high of a 9.825, which is not even her best event. She's still got beam. And we've got the two top performers for the Tar Heels right after this. So far, this has been a fantastic routine. Very clean, very little in execution. The tumbling has been great. Not much to say about that. That was a great performance. Definitely a strong front tumbler.
And once again, we said that on the Hislop vault that was 9.9. If you can't find anything wrong with it, that's a really good sign.
I'm sure the judges did, but it'll still be a great score for both of them. Yeah, I thought it was really well performed. I thought the execution was kept to a minimum. She's a really strong front tumbler, so she gets a lot of her bonus points in doing some of those tumbling passes. That was really cool. Kind of from the side on the beam, which is actually where the judges see it from. So that turn does give her extra bonus points, and she does it so well.
Wolfpack have to be feeling great about where this program is with the addition of those impact freshmen like Emily Shepard and Chloe Negretti.
They've been huge so far. They come out, they hit their routines, they get fantastic scores. And they've still got 3 more years, 3.5. They're not even halfway through season yet. Another great routine out of the Wolfpack beam lineup. Just a small hop on that landing. But Chloe does some really interesting skills. Probably makes the judges think a little bit just because they're pretty uncommon. Again, just that slight shuffle of the feet.
Do you see that as generally being a net positive for a gymnast? Or potentially negative that it's uncommon and not usually seen?
I think it's a positive. Yeah, definitely a positive. The nice thing is with some of these, the way that the gymnasts have redone and reworked some of their routines, there has been a lot more variety over the last couple
which we love to see.
Yes.
But so when you're judging, I would imagine that if you see the same skill over and over, and it's a little easier for you to take a deduction here or there.
You know exactly what to look for.
Okay.
You've seen okay.
You've seen the best. This is perfect.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, I'm taking something off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep, that's exactly it. So the really common stuff, you know exactly what it's supposed to look like, and you want it to look like that for no deductions. This is Michaela Robinson on floor. She's ranked 3rd in the Eagle on this event. Career high of a 9.875. I remember when I competed, I always had friends that were like, when you jump to the split, doesn't that hurt? It does not hurt these gymnasts. They're very flexible. It doesn't hurt.
I think it's an understandable question. Most people can't do that.
That is very true. But when she did her leap pass and she ended with her straddle split on the floor, I can promise you it did not hurt her. If it did, she wouldn't have it in the routine. So nice ending to Robinson's floor routine there with that double pike.
Now Grantham to anchor for NC State. You see Negretti's score flashed up, 9.85 for the freshman. And NC State already with 5 solid routines, so Grantham can go ahead and go for this and try to rebound.
Definitely, and she's in a great spot right now. So like you said, they've got 5 fantastic scores already. It takes a little bit of the pressure off Drew. She's got plenty on herself from coming back from that fall, not having to stick a routine because somebody else fell makes it just a little bit easier for her. Just a small wobble on that acro tumbling pass. And it looks like for Chloe Negretti, a new season and career high for that 9.85. Prior to that, it was a 9.775.
So a big improvement there for Negretti.
Just the dismount left.
And so for NC State, they had 1 fall on vault, had 1 fall on bars. Haven't been quite as clean as they were against Towson, but we're starting to see some bigger scores being put up by the Wolfpack too, and it's going to be interesting where that final score ends up being, because it's not like they've had to count a fall, and they have really taken some steps forward in several routines now. And so NC State is through the beam with 6 solid hits.
Yeah, that'll be a fantastic score for them. Like you said, a couple of falls early on in this competition, something that they can now put behind them. They can go to floor in their final rotation and just have fun.
Kaja Hislop has to be brimming with confidence after that 9.9 that she earned on vault.
Hislop ranked first in the Eagle Conference on this event.
.9 on 4. She's already done it once this season. That'll be the goal here tonight. Or who knows? Maybe a little higher.
They might go higher. Her career high is a 9.95, so she's definitely capable of it. Ranked 34th nationally on this event, but she's also put up against some former Olympians that compete for some of the top 10 schools.
She had huge air on that pass.
She really does. On any of her tumbling, on her vault, we saw a huge air time. She's just phenomenal. It's so nice to be able to just sit back and watch. She's just fantastic. Outside of that little, we call it a cowboy, so where she pulls her knees to the side to kind of speed up the rotation. The judges probably will deduct a little bit for that. They would love to see the legs perfectly together.
NC State will exhibition Emily Shepard. And so, you know, we see Shepard on the other 3 events. And technically, you could say she's a third all-arounder tonight. She's at least exhibitioning.
She will. My feeling is if they don't put her in all-around this season, she will take over Drew's spot next year when she graduates. Shepard, it's nice to watch her. She's capable of some really large scores, but she's also a fairly consistent gymnast. So we saw a small wobble on that turn that she had at the very beginning, but she does some extremely difficult skills and nails them. Great combination dismount, just that little shuffle, and then the other big execution came at the very beginning on her turn. Those darn turns, every time, every time. And she actually made hers a little more difficult, holding her leg up at horizontal. Gives her a little bit of bonus points.
So both teams will head to their fourth and final event. For North Carolina, it'll be beam. For NC State, it will be floor. And we will take a look at the individual scores from the third rotation when we come back from this quick break.
Season, and that's going to really move them up into some of those higher rankings. So great timeout. They cleared the 49 mark, which is exactly what they want to do. So 2 events today, 2 49 pluses, and now they've got floor to go to.
And really impressive because they were kind of able to hold serve with Carolina when North Carolina was on by far its best event on floor exercise. Hopefully we can get you those scores from North Carolina. Here they are as they warm up on beam. Of course, the fall to start things off hurt a bit. Other than that, rock solid, 9.8s and up. Yeah,
again, they definitely matched the Wolfpack on, again, beam floor and how you kind of line those up. Drop that 8.925 from Antonori, but other than that, they cleared that 49 mark, which is exactly what these teams want to do. They just want to be able to do it on all 4 events in the same night consistently. So Emery Sumi back on balance beam. We have not seen her since the start of this competition. She was also the leadoff spot for the Tar Heels on the uneven bars. So lead off on their first rotation, lead off on their last rotation.
And if Carolina can really crush it here on beam, could have a somewhat decent road score despite how many pitfalls they had on bars to lead things off, which would be remarkable.
It'll definitely be one of the road scores that they count for a while. So as we move into kind of, I would say, mid to later regular season, they'll start calculating a regional qualifying score or even a national qualifying score. And 3 of those scores have to come from away meets. So regardless, as they first start to calculate those, this will count for one of their road or away scores. And again, hopefully they'll be able to drop it later on as they come closer to postseason. So far, a great routine out of Sumi, averaging or a high of a 9.625. I thought that was better than a 9.625. So we'll
Very
see
good.
If she can best her season high so far.
And again, if North Carolina, it's looking forward a little bit, but if North Carolina can get it right around that 49, then they'll still be around 194, which when you have to count a couple of falls in your first event,
and that's
right. Solid.
That's right in alignment with their team season high. So
right.
That 194.775 or so.
That's on the money. Set that back on January 12th, actually in the opener. It'll be interesting to see where NC State finishes up, and it's going to depend again on, well, how well can they do on floor? And this is a spot where NC State has been very good.
You're right. They typically do pretty well on floor. They just have to stay consistent and not try to overdo anything. They're actually ranked second in the Eagle on this event, obviously behind North Carolina.
The same thing goes for NC State, and if they can get around a 49 in this event, they're going to be very happy with their final score.
They would be extremely happy, and then they'll definitely want to be able to take that on the road with them. I think the key is now they know they can do it. They know they can hit these 49 marks. Now it's, can we do it on the road, and can we do it consistently week after week? So fantastic finish for Lauren Kent on the floor, which leads me to believe that vault she fell on was just a mere fluke.
Kent with 3 excellent routines following the vault.
Great double back dismount for that extra 10th in bonus. Really controlled landing.
Alexis Allen for North Carolina, the senior from Nevada. Go ahead and get that 360 rotation out of the way early. Looks easy, it's not.
It has been a requirement in women's gymnastics since the beginning of time, it seems like. It is something that is not going to go away. And most of these gymnasts have been doing that full turn on beam since they were probably between 6 and 8 years old. So you would think they would have it. I mean, you would think they could not be more perfect at this full turn. And it is, I guess it's one of those skills where you kind of forget about it because you've done so many of them in your lifetime. But they tend to cause a problem when you stop thinking about it.
Her team is loving the routine from Allen to this point. And the dismount.
A season high of a 9.675, but again, to me, both of the gymnasts that have performed so far have been above their season highs.
Got to be happy when you're setting season highs. We'll see if it stands up for Allen.
She seems pleased with it.
Absolutely. So we already saw Kent of NC State, now Emily Shepard. Trying to make the case to be yet another all-arounder for the Wolfpack. On the line, but not past it.
On the line is in.
No arms went up, so still in. So she got some huge height.
I saw the judge kind of lean back in her chair and look just to make sure, but the line is inbounds.
Always so interesting to me, the facial expressions of the gymnasts, because they go from the presentation side, big smile, I'm having fun, and then the preparation for the pass, really, and you could just see the intensity and the focus.
Yes, and she has a very intense, like you said, an intense focus face before her tumbling passes. But you got to think about what you're doing. So the dance part, you can,
no doubt.
That's exactly what it is. You're supposed to run around and have fun. And there again, you see the face change.
Final pass for Shepard.
Another double back at the end. And I will say, between both of these teams, the double backs that they do at the end of these floor routines are far better than some that I've seen from some of the top 20 teams throughout the country. Just because it's a normal thing. Now they get an extra 10th bonus for it, which is great. So, hey, add on another bonus. But they did a double back in the last pass anyway, so it wasn't something new that they had to train for. But great height, nice controlled landing, and she throws her head back at the end there.
And Anam, who said she looked like she had been there before. Like didn't look like a youngster on floor exercise. And now we get to see her on beam.
Another 9.8 for a season and career high so far. So she performs like a veteran as well. Looks like just some little balance checks here and there, so she's not 100% on top of the beam. But so far, those have been very, very minor. So far, 3 up, 3 hits for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, both of these teams have been excellent on beam, and halfway through the heels, looking good. Smiles and high fives all around for Nam after that performance. Back to the floor, and the third Wolfpack member to go is Casey Nelson. .975, her season high on floor.
Nice 2.5 punch front to open her tumbling passes. An extra 10th in bonus for the 2.5 because of the difficulty, and then another 10th for that combination.
Both of these teams right now look comfortable. They look like they're having fun.
They do, and this is the teams that you want to see. So again, I think if we could just erase the first half of the meet where we had one too many falls, I think both teams would be happy. They could just stick to beam and floor and base everything off of that.
Nelson prepares for this final pass.
Great combination pass. Again, not that double back. She did that one in her middle pass, but she still gets bonus for the combination there at the end. And she is extremely excited about that one.
Well, she got some smiles from the judges. Love to get smiles from the judges, even while they're maybe still scribbling.
They are definitely still writing. They will always be writing, unfortunately, but season high of a 9.75 for Nelson on that event. So I think probably right around there, maybe edged out a little bit.
Kaja Hislop, her third, and of course, in this the final rotation, her final routine. Having a great night so far.
Ranked first in the Eagle on this event. The high of a 9.875. Again, all of her career highs are 9.9 plus. So even though her season high so far is at 9.875, she is definitely capable of more.
See, Nelson's score comes in 9.85.
Just setting records all over the place tonight on these two events.
There have been some big scores to come in tonight. And Hislop, I think, is probably going to get another big score.
I agree. If not tying that season high, I don't know if she'll quite get to that 9.9 mark, but that was a very, very, very strong score.
Chloe Negretti.
double pike for Chloe.
And like we saw on the vault, she does not lack explosiveness.
No, not at all. We talked about the height that Hislop got from the Tar Heel team. Chloe does pretty well for this Wolfpack team. And she just continues to beat her career highs. Again, she's only a freshman, but she always gets better, which is fantastic to see at such a young age. And so far, so good on this routine. Her season high so far of a 9.85. I'm going to say it's going to be pretty close. Either a match to her season high, ideally higher. I'd love to see that broken again. I think her teammates would too.
I mean, Nelson just put up a 9.85, and seems like Negretti probably right around there, right in that neighborhood.
If I had to compare them, I would put Chloe a little bit higher, but again, it depends on the angles that the judges are sitting at.
Sure.
They may have been able to see something that we didn't. Looked like Hislop came in at a 9.8 on the balance beam, so again, a very strong score for the Tar Heels.
Elizabeth Colton now.
Definitely an unfortunate fall there. I was just getting ready to mention she's ranked second in the Inkle on this event, right behind Hislop, who's ranked first.
And so now, all three all-arounders tonight. That's, again, it's more of a team competition, but there is an all-around competition.
There is.
That is going to make things very interesting because now all three, Grantham, Kent, and Colton, have all fallen on one event.
I guess it makes it a little more fair. Is that?
I mean, it was gonna. Yeah, it was Colton's to lose tonight with those falls. Unfortunately, she's off the beam, and so now it's probably going to be pretty close.
It will definitely be very close.
Those three have been solid outside of just the one error.
Colton a high of a 9.9 on this event. So again, she won't be getting that today, but she'll still get in the low nines. And a fantastic finish. So again, she had the one fall off the beam, 5/10 in execution. But other than that, that routine was pretty solid. We did see some of the other gymnasts where they'd have little balance checks here and there, maybe a small wobble. She didn't seem to have any of that. So you can tell when she hits, it's going to be a big score.
It's the first fall for North Carolina since bars, which was what, an hour and a half ago? I mean,
yes.
they had a long string there of consistency. Alexis Buechler, speaking of consistency, of NC State.
Season high of a 9.8 on this event.
Of course, you will see every NC State gymnast on floor incorporate that wolf sign.
Always. And a great double back to finish the night for Buechler, finish her routine. And high fives all around from the rest of the girls.
And that really solidifies things for NC State. Not that you would expect both Buchler and Grantham to fall, but they've now hit on 5 routines, right. and that cements that tonight is going to be a good night for Coach Landris and the Pack.
It definitely will be. They are 5 for 5 so far. If they can best somebody else's score, but they've had 5 fantastic scores for this floor team. And if anyone's capable of getting something higher, it's Drew Grantham.
Grace Donahue of North Carolina. And you hate to see it the last 2. I mean, Carolina was in a great spot there. And with Colton and now Donahue falling. And that is, of course, going to take Carolina out of the running to, like I said, get around that 49 and really be able to salvage a solid score.
Definitely. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And again, I think the Tar Heels, this has just been the way their season has gone so far, is they just haven't been able to put it all together. So they're clearly capable of some very, very large scores. They have some fantastic routines. They've got some great bonus combinations. It's just a matter of hitting all at once consistently. And a second fall there.
So once you fall once, it does make it's a little increased, your chance to fall again.
The mental load that comes with it, and beam, technically, if you think about it, it should be the easiest event. Everything you do on beam, you can already do on floor. It's just now you're 4 feet in the air on 4 inches of apparatus.
Yeah, see, the second part of what you said,
yeah, the mental load on beam
seems to me that the first part couldn't be true. It should be the easiest. You're just on a 4-inch balance beam.
It should
4 feet
be
in the air.
Easiest, but the mental state that you have to be in on balance beam is crazy.
Well, let's.
You can't really fall off the floor.
I'd love your opinion on this. So, the beam is 4 inches wide. But how much of that space is really usable for you? Because you don't want to be landing on the last inch of the beam, right?
No.
So you really have maybe a workable 2-inch space, something like that?
You definitely want to be focused in that center 2 inches. I mean, if you think about it, the width of your foot is 3.5 to 4 inches.
Yeah, but should be the easiest. Should be the easiest, Rachel.
It technically should be the easiest.
By the way, for those of you that have never heard before, beam was your least favorite.
Beam is my absolute least favorite.
By far.
I loved practicing beam. I hated competing beam. So I was never meant to be an NCAA all-around athlete.
Should be the easiest and is the easiest in this case.
Technically.
Very far apart.
Right. It is technically the easiest. It is mentally probably the most challenging. But the ones that are in the beam lineup, those gymnasts, they love it. They do not find it as mentally taxing. Most of them actually enjoy being up there and performing. Some of it find it calming. That's what they tell me.
NC State unofficially, but already above a 196.
Yes.
And Grantham just looking to add to that.
And again, if anyone can best another score that they can drop, it's going to be Grantham, and she nailed that routine. Fantastic tumbling all around. She hit all of her landings, very controlled. Everything you would expect out of the senior. So her nice last tumbling pass there, and she just finishes perfectly in that lunge.
Again, it's unofficial, but it's safe to say NC State going to be way above that 195.6. And that's saying something, because at this point in the season, that's excellent for where they were last week.
Right.
Another huge step forward this week.
Right, another great score for them. And again, as they start to count these meets towards their RQS, 3 come from home. Well, 3 come from away meets. They have to come from away. The other 3 can be home or away. More than likely, they're home scores, because you normally do better at home. So this is going to be a great score that they will be able to count into that RQS probably throughout the rest of the season. They just want more 196.
Yeah, if you're not going to count this the rest of the season, you're having a heck of a season.
Yes. Unfortunately, in that RQS right now, this 196 would be thrown out because you get rid of the high. This is Melissa Brooker exhibitioning for the Wolfpack. And she does a unique routine. She only has 2 tumbling passes, which you are allowed to do in collegiate gymnastics, but there are stipulations around that, of course.
Of course.
There's always stipulations.
Absolutely.
They have to be valued, some of the skills have to be valued at certain levels, being a D or an E, so a fairly difficult skill, or there has to be 2/10 of bonus combination when you do skills back to back, which she's getting ready to do currently.
Saw North Carolina's scores flashed up, and it looks like, again, unofficially 193-375, but again, we're in a good spot to be able to salvage it. A couple of falls late on beam, and that's going to leave them pretty far shy of that 194, around where they'd like to be.
You look at, they had to count 2 falls on the uneven bars. They had to count a fall on beam. That's a 1.5 just in falls,
Easily.
and that doesn't include the execution around those falls.
Right.
So you add a 1.5 to that score, and you're looking at a high 194, which is right in alignment with their season high. So
absolutely. We'll take a quick break and be back in a moment here on ESPN3. We're now joined by NC State head coach Kim Landris, and we talked to you last week, and you were ecstatic about how your team had fared. You had just set a new season high, 195.6, and I look up there, it's unofficial right now, but 196.25.
Yeah.
You feel pretty good about that?
I do. I'm super proud of them. I just told them in the huddle, I was like, that was a really gritty performance today. You know, everything didn't go exactly as planned, and it just didn't really matter. Everybody else just bounced back and had each other's backs, and we did the little things right. Just super proud of them.
I wanted to ask you about that, because that was kind of the theme last week, is that your team was just so solid. Every routine was hit. You did have some falls this time around, and yet and Rachel and I were talking about this, is that the ability for your athletes to come out and follow up a fall with a solid routine. And we saw quite a few season highs set today, and several gymnasts seem to take really big steps forward. What individual performances really maybe stood out to you the most?
Oh my gosh, super proud of Lauren, because she had a mistake on vault and she just let it go and she rocked the last 3 events. Drew had a little bit of adversity this week, and she came and she did have a mistake on bars, but the other 3 events were great. I'm so proud of all of them. It's hard. Casey, great floor routine. The whole floor team, they really, we always say finish strong, and after building that momentum on beam, they came to floor and they just literally put that exclamation mark on me.
Yeah, and Rachel and I were talking about that, in that already at that point in the night, you were having a great night, and then to be able to finish up on floor, I thought was so impressive, the way that your team was able to do.
Yeah, I just really saw such tight minds out of them today. So it was like they were chasing something, and whatever they were chasing, I liked it.
I liked it as well. So
right?
my big question to you is, you hit 49s on 3 of the 4 events, and we know that Lauren had that unfortunate mishap on vault where you probably would have gotten to a 49. But outside of that, is there any little thing that you can focus on for next week to maybe get 49 pluses all around?
I think that when you find a good recipe, you have to keep giving the ingredients what they need. And so we got to just get back to work, and we got to really focus on all those little things, because we'll need those ingredients next week.
Awesome.
Coach, thank you so much for the time, and congratulations on it'll be official here in a second, so we'll let you get to the official scores. But congratulations on a new season high.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Head coach of NC State, Kim Landris, taking the time to join us. We certainly appreciate that. And Rachel, as you said, just a fantastic performance from NC State, where they have shown they were already entering this week the top team in the Eagle, and they take another big step forward.
Yeah, I think they're really proving that they are going to be a tough team to beat throughout this season. So they actually came into competition season ranked 3rd in the Eagle in the preseason poll. I don't think that sat well with any of them. And over the last couple of meets, they're saying, look, we're here to play, and we are not ready to come in 3rd. So I think we're just going to have to keep it up. Like Coach Landra said, you just have to keep putting the people where they need to be. And at this point, when you're getting 49 pluses on every event, it comes down to the little tiny details, the stuck landings, the body shapes on their handstands on bars. I mean, that's when you start really getting into that nitpicky stuff that the judges look for.
Maybe there was a little chip on the shoulder of NC State, but as Coach Landris said, whatever it is that they're chasing, I want them to keep chasing it, because she is very pleased with what her team did tonight. And for North Carolina, as you said, showed the potential to go big, have to clean a few things up. Official scores coming out now, but for our fantastic crew here in Raleigh, we'll say so long. Hope you enjoyed this one. For Rachel Garland, I'm Andrew Sanders saying good night. A look at the final scores as we